Hey, what's up, everybody? If you don't know me, my name is Clay, and I just want to welcome you to our YouTube channel, RC3 Student Men, and we are so excited to have you. This is actually the 1-year anniversary of when we launched our house groups last year. Like, that's crazy that it's been a year, so I don't know what house you're at, but I am glad that you are there, and what we're going to do tonight for a little bit is celebrate some victories over the past year. I've just been blown away by what God has done just through conversations between students and conversations between leaders. Every single time I go to a house, it seems like it is just a family there gathering together, and it's such a cool thing to experience as someone who gets to pop into every house. And I don't know what city you're in, whether you are in Georgetown or Carolina Forest or one of the Conway houses, or you're in Aner. I know we're launching some other ones soon, so stay tuned for that. But God is working, so just thank the people that God is working through in your lives, and we're excited about that. One of my favorite memories of this entire stretch is when I brought one of my good friends in. And you guys know who it is already. I brought in my friend Ken. Ken, the mannequin. Ken, my man, what is up? How you doing, brother? Hey, bump it. All right, never mind. So we're bringing Ken in back for the fold today. We've missed him. He's a good buddy of mine. Clearly, he's jacked. Looks like he's been hitting the weights real hard. Got that good pump on. But I'm not just bringing in Ken today. I'm bringing in one of my other friends. And her name is Kendra. Kendra, the man of Kendra. Kendra, it is good to see you again. High five. All right. Guys, I'm excited to have these two friends with me, Ken and Kendra. They're two awesome mannequins. And you might be asking, Clay, why are you bringing the mannequins back in? And I honestly believe it's because we have a problem of going into relationships and having these goals of who we want, but those goals not really being defined. And we think like mannequins, we can dress up the person that we want to date to whoever we want them to be, and it doesn't work like that. And every single time we try that, we have failed miserably, and there's been some relationship struggles from it. And today we're going to talk about who you should date, because let's be honest, that's one of the biggest questions you could ever have when it comes to dating people. Yes, you want to date people. Yes, you're like, how should I date? But really, if you don't know who to date, you really can't date. That's a very confusing aspect. So I think these two are going to help us out a lot, because we do think we can dress up whoever we want to date into being the person that we want to date, and it just doesn't necessarily work like that. And there's two questions that are going to be really asked in this video that are really going to be helpful for us as we go on to this journey together. In Ruth 2, Ruth has gone with Naomi back to the land of Israel, and she looks at Naomi and says, hey, let me go into the fields. Let me go to work. Let me get some food. Hopefully people drop some food, and I can pick it up, and we can have something to eat, because they're in a bad spot. So Ruth goes to the field. She's working, and she's picking up the grain. She's grinding. She's sweaty. She's gross. And all of a sudden, the man named Boaz comes in. If I had to guess, Boaz was a stud. Like, he was built like Ken. He was someone who just had this air around him that he was just the guy that walked in the room that you're like, yep, that's the man. He's the dude, right? So he walks into this story, and he's looking at people saying, God bless you. May the Lord bless you. God be with you. And you could just almost tell, like, everyone's looking at him like, that's Ken. That's Boaz. That's Boaz. I have to go hang out with him. And he walks in, and as he's walking in to the fields and saying hey to everybody, he spots this lady. And this lady's name is Ruth. And he basically pulls the biblical equivalent of swiping right on Ruth. And he says this in verses 8 and 9. He says, listen, my daughter. Don't get that confused. That sounds really creepy. But my daughter is really referring to daughter of God, not his actual daughter. Otherwise, weird story. So stay right here with us when you gather grain. Don't go to any other fields. Stay right behind the young women working in my field. See which part of the field they are harvesting, and then follow them. I have warned the young men not to treat you roughly. And when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well. Boaz wants to help her and make her life better because he fancy her. He's like, I like you. You looking real nice. I want to be your friend, right? And Ruth is, frankly, she's confused. She's this foreigner. She's from far away. She's been working in the fields all day, so I'm guessing she's kind of sweaty, kind of gross. She's been grinding. Boaz looks at her and says in verse 11, says, "Yes, I know, but I also know about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I have heard how you left your father and mother in your own land to live here among complete strangers. May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done." He had done a little IG creeping. He's gone through the page and going, ooh, this is about her, this is about her. And what he's seeing is, man, Ruth is a pretty good human. She's staying with Naomi. She's left her foreign land. She's here to serve God. And he's like, man, I like what I see. And then when Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men, let her gather grain right among the sheaves without stopping her, and pull out some of the heads of barley from the bundles and drop them on purpose for her. Let her pick them up and don't give her a hard time. And there's two things I've really felt like I understood from this story, and I think they're great questions to ask. And the first question that I want to pull out of this story is, when it comes to your relationship goals, are they dateable? And just for a second, young women, dial in for a second, because I'm going to describe Boaz using my man Ken as an example here, right? Here's all of Boaz's good qualities. He's dedicated to the Lord. He's focused on who she was as a daughter of God, right? Like, he's saying, hey, daughter, and he's referring to her as daughter of God. He protected her from the fields. He provided to her when she was in need. He was generous. Ladies, when it comes to looking for a man, look for a man that's dedicated to the Lord. Look for a man who's focused on who you are as a daughter of God. Look for a man who will protect you in moments where you're in trouble. Look for a man who will provide for you when you are in need, and look for a man that's generous, a man who's willing to say, hey, no, that person that needs help, I am going to help them. Those are some key qualities to find out if someone is dateable. And on the flip side, young men, dial in right now. Ruth had a lot of good qualities too, as you saw in that story. She was someone who served, and she served hard. She wasn't worried about getting like dirty and nasty from working and going to work and working in the fields. No, she knew what she had to do, and she went and did it. She also cared for Naomi, who was an old lady at the time. Caring for people is a huge aspect. If she can't care for people, how's she going to care for you? Then also, she was willing to sacrifice. She left her foreign land. She left that other place. She left the place that she knew. She came to sacrifice for Naomi. If you're a young man, you got to look for women who are going to sacrifice. That's a huge aspect of relationships, that we all have to sacrifice for each other. Finally, she was committed to the Lord. And I love that. And those are the questions, those are the attributes that you should be looking for in the people that you want to date. Now, on the flip side, there's a second question that I pulled from this scripture, and it is, are you dateable? We've asked, are they dateable? And we've gone through their qualities. Now the question is, are you dateable? Young men, are you dedicated to the Lord? Young men, are you trying to force girls to be someone they're not? Are you trying to dress them up like a mannequin? Are you trying to get them to do things they shouldn't be doing? Are you trying to create in them who you want them to be rather than who they really are? It is one of our responsibilities to say, hey, no, you are a daughter of God. Look at her as a daughter of God. What you need to be is a protector and not a herder. Are you someone who protects people? Are you someone who wants to help people? Or are you trying to be someone who's hurting people by your actions? Young men, are you willing to provide when people are in need? Young men, I promise you, if you go through those attributes, you will be much more dateable than if not. But young women, it's the same for you. Learn from Ruth. Serve. Serving is so important. It shows that you have a heart to go and do something. Another thing I'm going to encourage you to do, young ladies, is to care for people. If I'm being completely honest here, us men, we like to say that, we don't need any help. I'm fine. But secretly, we really like to be taken care of. And then also be willing to sacrifice. But young women, more than anything, let me encourage you to be committed to the Lord. There's a world out here where people are all trying to be the same Visco girl, and that's just not it. For men and for women, if you are just committed to the Lord, You were going to stand out. You were going to be different. You're going to be something special. And that's what I love about this story. Boaz was someone who was different because he was committed to the Lord. I mean, you see him walk in and you just see this power and this energy that's about him that people are like, man, I like that guy. But then the same way that everyone looked at Boaz that way, Boaz looked at Ruth that way because he saw something in her that was different about her. And what was different about her was that she was committed to the Lord. So what do we do with all that? I know this is kind of a weird topic and a weird lesson. And this is a weird video, and I got mannequins. I got Ken and Kendra up here. And here's the truth. It's simple. Do some inventory. Are you dating a mannequin? Are you trying to make someone they're not? Are you trying to force someone to be who they're not? Or are you the mannequin in the relationship? Is someone trying to convince you to be someone you're not? Try to dress you up, dress you down, whatever the case is, and say, no, this is who you should be in this relationship. Either way, I think what we have to do is recognize who God's called us to be. And if we recognize who God has called us to be and how we are called to act, that's when we are going to find who we should date. Because we'll recognize, oh, that person's not following the Lord in the way I need them to follow the Lord in this relationship. So honestly, they're not dateable. Or maybe it's you yourself and you're going, man, I've been saying I want to be in a relationship for a while, and I know I want to be a part of this, but man, I just don't know if I'm ready for that. I need to be more committed to the Lord right now. Whatever the case is, it's not about who you have to dress up to be. It's not who you have to dress someone else to be. It's about who God's created you to be. And just be who God's created you to be. And if you just be who God has created for you to be, everything's going to work out. Life is going to be fine. You are not defined by who you're dating. You're defined by who God says you are. And it's as simple as that. And guys, I promise you, if we recognize that, we will figure out who we should date. And life will be a whole lot better when it comes to our relationships. We'll see you guys soon.